Howdy, howdy. How you doing, Demon Mama? Let me turn on my camera here.
Hi, I'm doing great. Let me get you up on here real quick. Yay, Riverboat Jack, it's so great to see you. Hold on, let me get you up on
Hi.
the big screen and put the text up here. Now everybody can see you. Wait, why is it not full screen? Go full screen. There we go. Sorry about that. Sorry
No
about the slow
worries.
little lumpy here. Yay, it's wonderful to have you on.
Yeah, it's good.
Wow.
It's good to finally talk to you. We've like
Yeah, it's been
crossed
a while.
paths. But have we ever just like one-on-one talked?
I don't think we've won a well, maybe for a little bit. I came on for that PV event that you did a while ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe a long time ago we have, but it's been a long time regardless.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's really great to have you on. So so yeah, well, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on for this wonderful signal night.
Yeah.
We are sort of celebrating the end of what we call Impmas, which is it happens in the vague area of Christmas, but it's distinct from Christmas, and it goes on as long as we want, and it starts as early as we want. And we've had a fairly long one this year. In fact, you can actually see the tree is still up with all the ornaments people sent as well. And yeah, it's been great. So welcome. And yeah. Uh so how have you been? What
I've
have you been
been
up to?
I've been good. I just got back from New York City. I
Ooh.
first time being there. I went with my partner. My partner and I are working on like a trans femme inclusive lingerie line. And so
That's so cool.
we went to like a textile show to like look at fabrics and stuff, and then I went and like got like professionally fitted by um a business in New York that does like professional industry fittings.
Uh-huh.
And it was super interesting.
That sounds
Like
amazing, honestly.
it was really cool, but it also really hammered home the need for what we're trying to do, what my partner
Yeah.
is really trying to do. And because part of the problem with like lingerie, if people aren't like aware of this, is just that um sizing is in the lingerie business. Sizing is basically catering towards the most common body type.
Mhm.
So if you happen to have a larger rib cage, even if you have relatively small boobs, your your ability to wear cute underwear is basically non-existent. Um,
Yeah, it takes a lot of shooting in the dark.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
and it was really hammered home because like I went to this professional fitter, and she was deeply ashamed and embarrassed of like her company because she couldn't find like a bra that they had in stock that was both like fashionable and like would fit my rib cage. And I'm not like a super large person. Like
Uh-huh.
she was trying to find stuff that would fit me, but like they just didn't have it in stock.
Yeah.
um and so yeah, it was really validating to basically be like, even this place that like has tons of underwear on hand is running into this problem.
Yep. Yeah.
And so yeah, my partner's working on like expanded sizing and also working on like cute feminine lingerie that also like doesn't require tucking, which is
Yeah.
nice.
That's
um
really cool.
yeah.
I please keep me up to date on that. Is there a newsletter I can join? Because that sounds genuinely incredible, and I would
Yeah.
love to be a part of that.
Let me just
I would be an early adopter. Okay, we got a whole household of people who'd benefit from that here.
yeah, there's a website actually called imagineolivia
Okay,
.com, and
how's that spelled?
it is spelled IMMOGENEOLIVIA.com.
All right.
And you can sign up for like a little email list. We're trying to launch in the summer, kind of around like June or July. It's gonna vary depending on like shipping fabrics and like all that stuff. But that's kind of the window, and
I'm
it,
on your
it's
list.
it's really exciting. So yeah, we were
That
there to do
sounds
that.
amazing. So, okay, not not to pivot from the real
Yeah.
reason to go to New York, but how'd you like New York?
I loved New York. I'm from the Midwest.
Yeah.
Like grew up kind of, fundamentalist Christian
Yep.
country, kind of stuff. And
Similar background, different part of the
yeah,
country.
yeah, and like there's not in the Midwest there is not public transit really. You'll
Yep.
find like bus lines in some major cities, but otherwise it's mostly just um you drive or
Yeah.
you suffer.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to be in New York and like be in our hotel and then go down onto the street, walk like 10 minutes, get to a subway station, and then you sit on the subway for like 20 minutes and you get to your destination. You don't need to drive. You literally don't need to drive at all. It's wonderful.
It is really cool. New York is incredible in that way. You can get just everywhere, and it does feel great. It's chaotic, and New York City transit is not it's not perfect, but it's
No.
certainly a huge change up. And it was like so I grew up in Maine, which also fundamentalist Christian background. I've talked about pretty extensively. I'm sure most people are tired of hearing me, and my audience are tired of hearing me talk about it, but same thing. In Maine, it's like there is no public transit. Good luck. Your experience with public transit is going to be a school bus, and it's going to be a very long ride. My ride was like I. It was that one of those things where like I became an avid reader just because I was so bored on the bus, like that type of thing. So I completely get that. And the first time I went to New York, I was like, man, this is wild. This is just it's wild to me,
Right?
just how much you can get to. Yeah. So did you get any good New York pizza? Did you get anything, any exciting food that stood out to you?
So I did get a pizza in New York, but I've been informed vigorously that it is not like to have authentic New York pizza, you need to be grabbing like a slice and then like walking somewhere.
Yeah. True.
And so
True.
we did go to like the first pizzeria in the United States, a place called
Ooh.
Lombardi's,
Okay.
and
Cool.
it was they I think they needed to perfect some pizza after they got here.
Ooh.
And that being said, the food that really stood out, there was a restaurant in Brooklyn called Hobra, which was like
Uh-huh.
a Mexican Californian fusion restaurant that
Okay.
was really,
Cool.
really good. 10 out of 10, would eat there again. We also went to apparently, and this is something I guess only real New Yorkers know about, but we went to a place called Rollin' Roaster,
Hmm.
that is basically like a slightly more upscale Arby's that opened in the 1970s and then just never changed and
Wow.
has continually run the same advertisements on like local New York television for like 50 years.
That
So
sounds awesome.
it was pretty great. Like a real roast beef sandwich. It was amazing. And I do have to say I've been converted to bagels. I didn't really
Oh,
understand that bagels
yes.
could be like a meal, and now I get it.
Yes, and magical.
Yes.
In New York City is the place to get the greatest bagels in the world. It is truly a magical experience. And yeah, I was gonna ask about bagels if you got any good ones
Yeah.
there, because you can't. I don't know if you can beat New York City in the bagel department. I mean, there's
Yeah.
literally bagel food trucks. It's crazy.
we
They're
went
everywhere, and
we
it's amazing.
we went to a place called Bagel Boy, and like it was just incredible, like had like stereotypical like guy with like a bagel head on it, like it
Yeah.
was great. It was great. It
That's
was great.
incredible. Yeah, like a good bagel has a lot of flavor.
Oh
When you
yeah.
if you've spent most of your life eating those fucking garbage Thomas fucking bagels from the grocery store, those things are trash, okay? I
Yep.
literally don't eat them anymore. And it's just like, first of all, your fucking local Safeway or whatever your local chain is, the bakery is going to make a better bagel in the first place. But secondly, like even that is not a real bagel. A real bagel, they have a lot of flavor and it adds a lot to whatever you're eating with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you got to have the good bagels. I spent a lot of time in New York City when I was in college because I went to college in upstate New York,
Oh, cool.
and my partner was from New York City, from Brooklyn. And so I spent a lot of time in New York City, and I'm always excited to hear people's experiences going to New York City, especially if it's their first time going. Because my first time in New York City was a wild experience.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was completely overwhelmed. I was like, not, I, I was not prepared for the magnitude of the city. Like you can hear
Yeah.
about it, but once you experience it, it's unimaginably packed and unimaginably large. It is a truly wild place, and the food's out of control.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
um,
I
yeah. Well,
oh,
go ahead, please.
I was gonna say, now I've been to both LA and New York, and I feel like they're both sprawling cities, but in very different ways. Like
Oh
LA
yeah.
just goes forever,
Yep.
whereas like New York just builds up. Like it was way
Hmm.
more vertical than I was expecting, oddly enough.
It's dense as hell. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
And it goes down too. It's kind of creepy when you think about it. Like how many layers? There's like tunnels. There's decommissioned train, like subway tunnels that are on top, or like the current ones are on top of other ones from the past. There's
yeah,
like basically like catacombs under the city of no longer used, subway things. It's wild to think about.
yeah.
It is an incredible city. I've also been. Listen, I'm just gonna. This is gonna attract some ire from the Los Angelites, but sorry, Los Angeles has got fucking nothing on New York, and I know that's gonna make a lot of people mad,
It's
but
also just a lot harder to get around Los Angeles. Like,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, the
Takes
transit's just better
forever.
in New York.
The fact that the like highway, the I-5, I think it is, going through the center of Los Angeles is like brutal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like the other
Oh,
the
yep, there they go, there it goes. Oh, wait, never mind, all the LA people are saying LA sucks. I'm from LA, it fucking sucks here.
Yeah,
Nah,
the
but,
I agree with you though. Like it can be a very overwhelming city to go to. Like
mhm,
I'm a bit on the spectrum, and I walked through Times Square with my partner, and that is the worst place on earth. I I I
it's crazy.
I
Yeah, isn't it?
hated it so much. It was I got sexually harassed by an Elmo, like, while, like, a
Ooh, I'm
12-story
sorry.
tall, like, M&M, like, was staring down, and, like, it's just so overwhelming that, like, the police have to, like, put, like a flashing billboard telling you to not get pickpocketed.
Yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
wild place. I made the terrible mistake of going to the McDonald's in Times Square, which the experience was something like, well, it's also a New York place, but you know when you see the Wall Street things where everyone's like, "Ah!" They're all yelling at each other and they're like they're holding multiple phones and whatever, and like
Oh, yeah.
you don't even know what they're doing. You're like, this is not a real action. You're just doing something to, like, I don't know. That's how it felt going to the McDonald's there. It's like 14 registers across, all of them shouting out like order numbers at different. It was
Oh, man.
absurd and terrible. Although I will say I had one good experience. That was next to Times Square, and I had to cross through Times Square in order to make it happen, which was by literal pure chance. I got to meet um, Ian McKellen and Sir Patrick Stewart
Oh,
by
what?
pure chance. I We were leaving Times Square. We crossed like through Times Square and went down off like past Broadway and all that, and we went down a side road. And while I was there, I noticed like a theater. There was like a small crowd of people around a theater. And I was like, wonder what's going on over there. And I noticed up on the little billboard that it said, Ian McKellen, Sir Patrick Stewart. They were doing some. I don't remember what the show was, and I was like, oh my god, like are they actually there? And
That's
then so I
so
just ran
cool.
over and I just hopped in the crowd, and it was like genuinely an amazing experience. I will say, Sir Patrick Stewart he was not very happy. He did not seem particularly jazzed. Ian McKellen, on the other hand, was loving it. He was like loving the praise, and it was really cool to get to just like shake hands and see them and
Yeah.
stuff. That was like a celebrity moment that I strongly remember. So yeah,
They're
New
friends
York.
in real life, right?
Yeah, they are.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
they're like super close, and they've done a ton of projects together. And like as I ended up looking up later, and like they were like live blogging their whole like tour in New York. They were doing a bunch of small theater shows in New York, and I just didn't know. It just by pure chance happened to work out that way. Complete roll of the dice, which was wild.
That's so fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
New York is a magical place. I'm really happy you had a good time there.
yeah,
Um,
I'm really excited
yeah.
to go back.
That's awesome. And also, it sounds really cool that I've never heard of a textile expo, but I wonder how did you get to feel a lot of cool fabrics while you were there and see a lot of, or
So
was it more like talking about them?
so I didn't get to go personally to the textile show. Just my partner got in.
Oh, okay.
Because it costs money to go in, and I'm not like a textile expert.
Okay.
My partner went to like a very elite fashion design school for lingerie.
Wow.
So like she knows what she's doing. I really don't. Um, but so she went, and it's a lot of touching fabrics, but it's also like business schmoozing. Because
I get it.
it a lot of them are
As most
basically,
conventions, to be fair, yeah.
yeah, they're trying to basically sell you like, hey, are you going to buy 5,000 yards of fabric? We can get you all the fabric you need to cover your outdoor chairs. Kind of situation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. To me, a fabric touching expo sounds very fun.
It does sound
But
fun. I'm
I would
excited to go next
fail.
time.
Yeah, I would fail the schmoozing part, obviously for the same reason that you mentioned. I have no expertise on this, but going, ooh, soft. That sounds nice to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a little more time. I wanted to ask so I haven't been following what you've been up to lately as far as online and everything. What have you been up to? What have you been doing lately? What's been your beat, so to say?
Honestly, I've been covering a lot about a lot of like geopolitics. I've been covering, obviously a lot about the genocide in Gaza, and
Hmm.
been talking about like when I got back, I did a big show about kind of this Christian nationalist border crisis situation that's been brewing. That's
We talked about that recently too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like torn between considering that one uh like an existential threat, because I am familiar with Christian nationalism and like
Same.
nationalists, and also like kind of like, okay, well, Biden could federalize this and like kind of put a stop to it, but I'm genuinely unsure about how this is going to like develop. So
Yeah.
it's
I
interesting.
saw some of Biden's responses and I was not impressed personally,
Yeah.
but
No,
it's
it's
been that's been the case for a while. It seems like I don't
yeah.
know. I
Oh
I
man.
feel like Biden's been isn't it a nightmare right now
It's
to
such
just
a
be sitting here going, oh
such
my
a
God,
nightmare.
is fucking Grandpa gonna fumble it? Is he gonna fumble the easiest win that's ever come? And I'm like, I'm actually like, I know I get a lot of reassurances from a lot of different people. I'm no pollster, and I know even the pollsters don't know what the fuck they're talking about half the time. But I'm sitting here and I'm going, everybody keeps telling me, oh yeah, it's not going to be Trump again. There's no way. And I'm like, and a part of me says, yeah, that checks because there's not all that many in the Trump cult. Like it's been dwindling. They're intense and they're angry, but there's still a small group of people. But I'm like watching the fumble, and I'm watching the hardest fumble, and I'm going, is it possible that he fumbles so hard that we lose to the fucking dwindling Trump cult? And there's a small part of me that goes, oh my God, we need like run, like
Yeah.
there's that part where I'm like, oh shit. And I really hope not, but I've been shockingly unimpressed with Biden's recent decisions. And of course, then you have like Pelosi today. I don't know if you saw that, Pelosi going on and being like, we should have the FBI looking into these, looking into the fact that Russia is
Oh yeah.
is funding Gaza, people in support of Gaza. I'm like, oh, get this,
Yeah, no, it's
we're
it's
cooked, we're
literally
cooked.
it's literally more imaginable to like the democratic establishment that like foreign powers are funding like people objecting to a genocide than like
Genocide is bad. Yeah,
yeah, you know, like they can't imagine that like the common people would ever not like what Biden has accomplished because
yeah,
they think he's done wonders, right? Like they look at like the economy, like you know, turning around for some segment of the population. They're like, ah, yes, we've done it. We've secured the victory, and it's just like, what are you doing? No, no, you
yeah. It's such
haven't.
a weird thing. I'm like, it's just like I genuinely don't understand like the thought process, because it's not even like, it is one of those things where there's not even an ounce of self-preservation, because you
No.
would assume that like a cold calculating politician would go, oh shit, we're losing popularity on this, time for me to change my position on this issue to match what the voters want. That's what you
Yeah.
think when you go, yeah, politicians are cynical, they'll do whatever for a vote. But then you see the Democrats and you go, they don't even want to do that. What is their motive? Are they just so deluded? Is it
I
just that they're so siloed off and there's no outside information, that there's just, it's all calls from inside the house and back clapping? Is that, I don't know, is it like that insulated that there's just no one who can say you're losing popularity and making decisions that go against your general political base? I don't know.
I mean,
It's shocking.
I think that they are insulated from like the truth. Like people just aren't telling them that like this polling is actually real. You know, like
Yeah.
they think this is a temporary thing that by the time the election rolls around, people aren't going to remember, they're going to vote for Biden, they're going to fall in line, etc. But that's really
Why would you
hard.
even gamble on that?
Right,
Like, it just doesn't
right?
make sense. What's the motivation?
Well,
And it's just like, I don't know.
especially because
Yeah.
some of them have gone beyond just like, oh, people will forget about it, to like actively antagonizing their voter base. Like I don't know
I've
if you
seen a
saw
lot
that.
of that.
John Fetterman like getting on the rooftop of his offices
Yep.
and waving like an Israeli flag like at demonstrators outside where he works, and it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, why would you?
Why?
And then also like his like whole pivot away from like, I'm not a progressive, when it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
dude, you literally ran on, we live in a strange time. And I am not looking for, and the thing of like I meant to say the thing that of people saying, oh, they're going to forget about it or whatever, it's not going to
Hmm.
matter, is the biggest cope I've ever seen. And it's crazy because they've been saying that like basically since this all started happening, and nothing of the sort has happened. If anything, people are like more angry about it because nothing happened. Like, yeah, it is true that like there's less overall coverage of the situation. Obviously, that happens with every single news story. Like, other time moves forward and other events happen, and so people get distracted and stuff like that and
Hmm.
whatever. But like, as far as the sentiment that I see online and offline, basically all over the place, like it really does feel like people are more pissed off that like it's like, no, we're not only have we not forgotten about it, we're remembering that you told us we were going to forget about it. And it's
Yep.
just like, oh Jesus, like
Well,
again, the doom fumble is like just floating there in the future, and I'm going, oh God,
the
oh
other
dear God.
the other part about it is just that like they're banking on like his economic wins, right? They're banking so hard on them, and it's just like what most people remember about the economic wins are like, promising student debt relief and then not getting it,
Yeah.
or like
Or the check at the very beginning, the COVID check,
yeah,
where it was like, oh, actually, we said we were going to give you a $2,000 check, but we actually were including the money that came before. Technically, it was
yeah,
like trying to weasel out of having to pay for the bill at dinner or something like that. It was
yeah.
just like,
Oh
I
my
don't
god.
understand it.
It also it's driving me nuts because I mean, like I saw like two stories in the last week where it's like half of Americans' rent is now like taking up half of their income, like, or
Yeah,
it was something along those lines. And then like the other story was more we have a record number of people over 65 continuing to work and not retire, and it's like these are not
crazy.
signs of like the economy doing well. This is actually a sign of things getting worse for people at the bottom, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I don't know. It seems like we live in a particularly diluted political timeline, and I feel like reasonable conversations about politics are harder and harder to find. And that sounds like, that sounds like like a like the preamble for like a, everybody's too extreme, but I don't mean that. I just mean like who the fuck is actually connected to reality. You have like like Republicans today. Fucking Lindsey Graham is going on every social media platform and being like, "Bomb Iran now!" And I'm just like, and this is like, and then the Dems are like, well, maybe we should consider making a strong policy on the border since Greg Abbott says there's an invasion. We got to take him at his word. I'm just like, okay. And then you have Nancy Pelosi being like, Russians are the reason why people are mad about what's going on in Gaza. Just deranged. Where
Yeah, no.
what is going on? Deranged. It's derangement. I don't know what else to call it. It's
Well,
it's it's diluted.
well, and then Biden's response is just like, "Oh yeah, sign a bill into law and give me the executive power to shut down the border. I'll do it day one." Like, what are you doing? Why? What are you doing? What are you
You
doing?
want Listen, I want to put the razor wire down. It's just like, oh, dude, what
Yeah,
the fuck?
Biden's like comms are basically just like, the economy's doing great under me, and I personally want to put razor wire across the river to slash 3-year-olds as they swim across. Like, what are you doing? Why?
Deranged.
You don't have
Yeah.
to take
Again,
this
diluted.
L.
It feels like we're the goose is cooked in more ways than we've seen in a long time, which is wild to say because I feel like, I've been plugged into politics for a very long time, long before I even started streaming. That's part of why I started streaming, was because I was interested in politics and whatever. And I'm like, man, it's been getting less and less possible to make sense of literally anything. And I just feel like, yeah, I don't know. The Republicans especially, the Dems are really fucking bad. And I don't want to give the idea that like,
Yeah,
you
no.
know, the Dems are like just as bad as the Republicans. Because again, like I said, Lindsey Graham on Twitter fucking screaming about bombing Iran is just like, that's normal for the Republican Party right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're screaming about things that do not and should not exist. They've created a total reality warping vortex. And I don't know. I'm like, I, part of it reminds me of just like, I don't know, like contending with the fact that we've always had to contend with like extreme religiosity and stuff like that, where people work themselves by one means or another into like a worldview that is totally incompatible with anyone that doesn't agree with their worldview. It's
Mm-hmm.
just they can't. There's no agreement on basic facts. But with Christianity alone, when it's Christianity, it's like there's a religion there. There's thousands of years of history. What the fuck is going on with the Trump cult shit? Like I don't know. I guess
I
it plugs into Christianity and they're siphoning off fumes from it. I don't know. It yeah.
I I have a theory, and I think my theory is that we're approaching the conspiracy singularity, where it
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
just converges into like one abyssal black hole of ideology. Because like I don't know if you heard about like the trucker convoy that's going to the border to like fight for the border rights. I don't.
No, I haven't heard about that yet.
Oh,
Another trucker convoy, huh?
they the guy heading it got interviewed by like Tucker Carlson a couple days ago, and I was like, what is this deal with the convoy? So I went to their website and I started looking at it, and like their biggest backers are like caravanning Christian nationalists who like go around, who don't have any like
Oh,
home base, and they just travel around the country in these caravans. And they also have a presence at like flat earth conventions, and
Oh,
like
incredible.
I mean, and like they all these, like several of the people behind this caravan are QAnon influencers, and it's just like it's this growing movement that is like fusing Christian nationalism with QAnon, with flat Earth, with like every conspiracy theory. You know, like even Candace Owens is getting in on it now with like the moon landings were faked, and like it's just becoming like this thing that's getting more and more traction. And I
Gravity
g-
well.
I genuinely don't know if there's anything we can do about it, because they've created
No.
this insular media bubble that rejects anything that would potentially like pull people out of it.
Yeah.
And
It does remind me of how hard it is to reach like how hard it is to reach people like I mean the church that I grew up in, the cult that I grew up in, like it's so hard to get any info or news in. It's like it's chance. It's
yeah.
chance that you get out sometimes. Like it was chance that that my life path, took me to the fact that like I was in public school before my parents got into the cult. And then when I went to their stupid cult school, my grades started struggling, and they were like, "Oh, that's not good. Maybe we should let her go back into public school." And so I went back into public school again, and because of that, like I experienced some worldviews that were different from my own. But so many people didn't have that. It's like literally like a dice roll. And when you're in those churches, it's so hard to even receive a signal from the outside world. I
Yeah.
don't know what the answer is to penetrate that, but
Yeah, because
hopefully we can figure something out.
when you're in that space, no one is like, hey, why do you believe what you believe? You
Yeah.
know, no one asks you to articulate it, because there's a fundamental set of assumptions that they've like kind of grown into you, right?
Yeah, there's a hostility to inquiry.
Hmm.
There's a hostility to doubt. That like doubt is in and of itself like a sign that you're an enemy. It's incredibly popular, and not just in conspiracy spaces, but obviously in fundamentalist space as well, as I'm sure you know. But
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I was actually a Bible camp counselor for 2 years.
Oh,
So
like like a VBS type thing, Vacation
yeah,
Bible School type thing.
but
Yeah, me too. I
basically,
did that as well. It seems like it's yeah, that's like the fundamentalists like favorite favorite thing to send kids to go do.
yeah. Are you
Um,
are you?
yeah.
That's the. It's. I feel like it's a weirdly common track for a lot of trans people as well. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's yeah.
They're like your parents are like, "There's something different about you. You must want to be like a camp counselor." Like for me, we had to do it was like there was a bunch of theater involved with it as well. Like
Yeah.
if you were a part of the VBS, you also were a part of the shows. They would do these little Bible story shows and Veggie Tales
Hmm.
esque, you know. I shouldn't even compare it to Veggie Tales because at least Veggie Tales is funny. These things were terrible, but
Did they ever
yeah.
do? Did you ever get shown like the kind of like answers in Genesis adjacent or prior to the internet? Like it's impossible for evolution to be real because the
Oh,
eyeballs exist.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
in fact, when I for the year that I was in their Christian middle school program, that was like they had a science thing that was entirely built off of creationist only
Oh
science
no.
books, and there was a huge part of that. And it was like, and of course, I've told this story before, but the sort of infamous Kent Hovind. You
Mm,
know who he is?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Kent Hovind. I met him and had a one-on-one counseling session with him at one point, which was very weird.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, he was a weird guy. And yeah, but he came to our church multiple times, and now he's in prison. So I don't think he's out yet. So probably won't be out for a while. But yeah, he went to prison, so that was fun. But everyone in chat, Kent Hovind dodged the IRS and beats his wife. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That guy. Yeah, he's a weird guy. Well, we are just about up on our time, but I wanted to thank you very, very much for coming on. It has been a absolute pleasure getting to chat with you, and I thank you for telling me about your project. I'm on your
Yeah.
mailing list now.
Anytime.
If
And likewise, I love talking with you. Extend the invitation. You're welcome on anytime on my
that would
stream.
be awesome. Yeah, let me know if you're ever doing any events or anything or whatever. If you just want to chat about something, I'd be totally down.
Will do.
And if you could real quick just shout yourself out to the chat, that would be incredible.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name's Riverboat Jack. I talk about news, politics, and I'm a socialist, and calm at heart. But
Based.
um, I talk about the need for workers to control their own workplaces and how we can actually make that happen, and also do like current events. So if any of that sounds interesting, come on over. And sometimes I also talk about video games and movies and stuff because I used to be a video game journalist. So all that
That's
stuff,
so awesome. I didn't know that.
cool and wonderful. Come on over.
Please go check out Riverboat Jack. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Would love to speak with you again in the future.
Absolutely.
Bye for now.
Bye. Boop, boop, boo. Ba-doop-a-doop-a-ba-da-boo.